Have you ever wondered why some people seem to reap joy and success while others face hardship, even when their efforts appear equal? The answer lies in the intricate workings of karma, a universal law of cause and effect that governs our actions and their outcomes. But karma is not a rigid system of fate. It is a deeply empowering teaching that places the reins of your destiny in your hands. In this video, we'll explore the 4 types of karma, unveiling their profound influence across lifetimes and how understanding these principles can lead to a life of wisdom, compassion, and ultimate liberation. Stay with us as we dive into timeless stories and teachings that illuminate the path to a brighter, more mindful existence. A classification of karma according to its time of operation. Karma operates not as an immediate reaction, but as a deeply interconnected process that unfolds based on conditions and timing. To understand how intentional actions yield results, the Buddha classified karma according to the time of its operation. This classification reveals the nuanced ways in which actions influence our present and future experiences, highlighting both the immediacy and the far-reaching nature of moral responsibility. By delving into these categories, we gain deeper insight into the workings of cause and effect, empowering us to act wisely and mindfully in every moment. 1. Immediately effective karma. The result of a good karma reaped in this life. A husband and his wife possessed only one upper garment to wear when they went out of doors. One day, the husband heard the Dhamma from the Buddha and was so pleased with the doctrine that he wished to offer his only upper garment. However, his innate greed initially prevented him from doing so. After struggling with his mind, he ultimately overcame his greed and offered the garment to the Buddha, exclaiming, "I have won, I have won." The king, delighted upon hearing this story, presented him with 32 robes as a reward. The devout husband kept one for himself, one for his wife, and offered the rest to the Buddha. This story highlights the transformative power of generosity and the immediacy with which wholesome deeds can bring unexpected blessings. It also illustrates the struggle with defilements like greed and the joy of conquering them through virtue. B. The result of a bad karma reaped in this life. A hunter, frustrated by an unproductive day in the forest, encountered a bhikkhu on alms round. Believing the bhikkhu to be an omen of bad luck, he was enraged upon seeing him again later in the day. Despite the bhikkhu's pleas, the hunter set his dogs on the monk. Seeking refuge, the bhikkhu climbed a tree, but the hunter pierced his feet with an arrow. The excruciating pain caused the monk's robe to fall on the hunter, leading the dogs to mistake their master for prey and maul him to death. This narrative vividly illustrates how cruelty and delusion lead to immediate negative consequences. It is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of actions and their outcomes, urging mindfulness in every deed. 2. Subsequently effective karma. A millionaire's servant, after a laborious day, observed that everyone in the household was observing the 8 precepts on a full moon day. Inspired, he decided to follow the precepts for half a day and fasted through the night. Tragically, he passed away the next morning but was reborn as a deva due to his virtuous act. On the other hand, Ajatasattu, who killed his father, King Bimbisara, was reborn in a state of misery immediately after his death due to the gravity of his heinous action. This classification emphasizes that the fruits of actions, whether wholesome or unwholesome, may manifest in a subsequent existence. It reinforces the enduring nature of karma and the importance of cultivating virtue at every opportunity. 3. Indefinitely effective karma. Indefinitely. Effective karma refers to the type of action whose effects extend beyond a single lifetime, often influencing future existences, sometimes even affecting enlightened beings like arahants. Unlike immediate or subsequent karma, which produce more immediate or predictable results, indefinitely effective karma operates in the background, gradually ripening over time. The Buddha taught that even enlightened beings are not entirely exempt from the residual effects of their past karma. While their wisdom and spiritual liberation free them from accumulating new karma, the consequences of previous actions may still manifest in subtle forms. This does not signify imperfection in the awakened state, but serves as a reminder of the powerful and far-reaching nature of karma. Such karma can emerge at unexpected moments, creating conditions in which a being must face the outcomes of past actions, regardless of their current spiritual attainment. It is a testament to the law of cause and effect's deep and unbroken continuity, reminding all beings that while liberation can end future cycles of suffering, past actions continue to shape one's experience until fully resolved. Therefore, indefinitely effective karma reinforces the importance of mindfulness and ethical conduct, as even subtle, unacknowledged actions can influence the course of life across multiple lifetimes. 4. Ineffective karma, ahosi karma. Ineffective karma, or ahosi karma, refers to intentional actions that, due to certain conditions, fail to produce their expected results. While every action is imbued with the potential to bear fruit, its effects depend on the presence of supportive conditions. When those conditions do not align, the karma becomes ineffective, ceasing to exert influence. This type of karma underscores the principle of conditionality, paticca samuppada, in the Buddha Dharma, where nothing arises or manifests independently. Even unwholesome or wholesome actions may remain dormant and never ripen if the right circumstances fail to arise. The concept of ahosi karma serves as a reminder of two profound truths. 1. The non-deterministic nature of karma. While karma is a powerful law of moral causation, it does not dictate a rigid or fatalistic path. Instead, it operates within a web of interdependent conditions, allowing room for change and liberation. 2. The opportunity for transformation. Even harmful actions that could bear painful results may remain ineffective if a person cultivates wisdom, mindfulness, and wholesome actions. This aligns with the Buddha's teaching that present effort and understanding can mitigate or entirely neutralize the results of past deeds. Ineffective karma invites us to take responsibility for our actions while recognizing the dynamic nature of existence. It encourages us to cultivate favorable conditions through virtuous conduct, mental clarity, and insight, ensuring that past unwholesome karma remains ineffective. As the Buddha teaches, abandon evil, cultivate the good, purify the mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Dhammapada, verse 183. B. A classification of karma according to function, kiksha. They are 1. Reproductive karma, janaka karma. 2. Supportive karma, upatambhaka karma. 3. Counteractive karma, upapadaka karma. 4. Destructive karma, upakataka karma. Every subsequent birth, according to Buddhism, is conditioned by the good or bad karma which predominated at the moment of death. This kind of karma is technically known as reproductive karma. The death of a person is merely the temporary end of a temporary phenomenon. Though the present form perishes, another form that is neither absolutely the same nor totally different takes its place according to the thought that was powerful at the death moment, since the karmic force which hitherto actuated it is not annihilated with the dissolution of the body. It is this last thought process, which is termed reproductive karma, that determines the state of a person in his subsequent birth. As a rule, the last thought process depends on the general conduct of a person. In some exceptional cases, perhaps due to favorable or unfavorable circumstances, at the moment of death, A good person may experience a bad thought and a bad person a good one. The future birth will be determined by this last thought process, irrespective of the general conduct. This does not mean that the effects of the past actions are obliterated. They will produce their inevitable results at the appropriate moment. Such reverse changes of birth account for the birth of vicious children to virtuous parents and of virtuous children to vicious parents. Now, to assist and maintain or to weaken and obstruct the fruition of this reproductive karma, another past karma may intervene. Such actions are termed supportive karma and counteractive karma, respectively. According to the law of karma, the potential energy of the reproductive karma can be totally annulled by a more powerful opposing past karma, which, seeking an opportunity, may quite unexpectedly operate, just as a counteractive force can obstruct the path of a flying arrow and bring it down to the ground. Such an action is termed destructive karma, which is more powerful than the above two in that it not only obstructs but also destroys the whole force. As an instance of the operation of all four types of karma, consider the example of a compassionate healer who later faced significant adversity. Her reproductive karma from countless acts of kindness and healing in past lives brought her into a privileged and respected position in society as a skilled physician. This favorable rebirth gave her the opportunity to continue her virtuous work and contribute positively to her community. Her supportive karma sustained her success and well-being, reflected in the continued trust and admiration of her patients, as well as the abundant resources and opportunities that allowed her to refine her skills. However, her counteractive karma from a past moment of arrogance, where she once belittled a peer, manifested as professional rivalry and public criticism. This created challenges that obstructed her progress and temporarily tarnished her reputation. Finally, her destructive karma, stemming from a deeply unwholesome act in a distant past life, led to a sudden and irreversible downfall when she faced false accusations, resulting in the loss of her profession and social standing. This example illustrates the intricate interplay of karma. It shows how reproductive karma determines the foundation of one's life. Supportive karma fosters stability, counteractive karma introduces obstacles, and destructive karma may ultimately disrupt even the most favorable circumstances. Such dynamics remind us of the importance of cultivating mindfulness and intentionality in all our actions. C. A classification of karma according to the priority of effect, Vipakadana. They are 1. Weighty karma, Garuka karma. 2. Death proximate karma, Asanana karma. 3. Habitual karma, Asina karma. And 4. Cumulative karma, Katata karma. The first is weighty karma, which means a weighty or serious action. It is so called because it produces its effects for certain in this life or in the next. On the moral side, the weighty actions are the jhanas or ecstasies, while on the immoral side, they are the subsequently effective heinous crimes, anantariya kama, namely matricide, parricide, the murder of an arahant, the wounding of the Buddha, and the creation of a schism in the Sangha. If, for instance, any person were to develop the jhanas and later commit one of these heinous crimes, his good karma would be obliterated by the powerful evil karma. His subsequent birth will be conditioned by the evil karma, in spite of his having gained the jhanas earlier. For example, Venerable Devadatta lost his psychic powers and was born in a woeful state because he wounded the Buddha and caused a schism in the Sangha. King Ajatasattu, as the Buddha remarked, would have attained the first stage of sainthood if he had not committed parricide. In this case, the powerful evil karma obstructed his spiritual attainment. When there is no weighty karma to condition the future birth, a death proximate karma might operate. This is the action one does or recollects immediately before the dying moment. Owing to its significance in determining the future birth, the custom of reminding the dying person of his good deeds and making him do good on his deathbed still prevails in Buddhist countries. Sometimes a bad person may die happily and receive a good birth if fortunately he remembers or does a good act at the last moment. This does not mean that although he enjoys a good birth, he will be exempt from the effects of the evil deeds he has accumulated during his lifetime. At times, a good person, on the other hand, may die unhappily by suddenly remembering an evil act or by conceiving a bad thought, perchance compelled by unfavorable circumstances. Habitual karma is the next in priority of effect. It is the karma that one constantly performs and recollects, and towards which one has a great liking. Habits, whether good or bad, become second nature. They more or less tend to mold the character of a person. At leisure moments, we often engage ourselves in our habitual thoughts and deeds. In the same way, at the death moment, unless influenced by other circumstances, we, as a rule, recall to mind our habitual thoughts and deeds. Mold. The last in this category is cumulative karma, which embraces all that cannot be included in the foregoing three. This is, as it were, the reserve fund of a particular being. D. The last classification of karma according to the plane in which the effects take place. Karma can also be classified by the plane of existence in which its results manifest. This classification highlights the diversity of experiences shaped by intentional actions, reflecting the complexity of existence across different realms. 1. Evil actions, akusala, ripening in the sense sphere, kamaloka. Unwholesome actions rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion lead to results within the sense sphere, encompassing realms of human existence and lower states such as the hells, animal realms, and ghostly domains. These actions perpetuate suffering, as their motivations bind individuals to the cycle of samsara, governed by craving and aversion. 2. Good actions, kusala, ripening in the sense sphere, kamaloka. Wholesome actions performed with intentions of generosity, compassion, and wisdom bring pleasant results within the sense sphere. These can include favorable rebirths as humans or devas, celestial beings, in the heavenly realms. Despite their positive effects, actions within this category remain tethered to sensual desires and thus do not transcend samsara. 3. Good actions ripening in the realms of form, rupaloka. Wholesome actions cultivated through meditative absorption, samadhi, lead to rebirth in the realms of form. These realms are characterized by greater mental refinement and less attachment to sensual pleasures. The beings in these realms experience subtler forms of existence, arising from profound states of concentration and virtuous conduct. 4. Good actions ripening in the formless realms, arupaloka. Exceptional meditative practices that transcend even the perception of form result in rebirth in the formless realms. These realms represent the most subtle states of existence, free from physical embodiment, where consciousness is absorbed in profound mental stillness. However, even these exalted states are not ultimate liberation, as they remain within the cycles of birth and death. This classification of karma reveals the vast range of experiences shaped by intentional actions across various planes of existence. While wholesome actions elevate beings to higher realms, true liberation lies beyond all conditioned existence. By cultivating insight into the impermanent and unsatisfactory nature of all realms, one can transcend karma altogether, attaining the unconditioned state of nibbana. As the Buddha teaches, there is no sensual delight equal to the cessation of craving. There is no realm of existence higher than nibbana. This wisdom calls us to go beyond temporary pleasures and refine our practice toward the ultimate goal of complete liberation. In summary, Karma is not merely an abstract doctrine, but a practical guide for cultivating a life of wisdom and compassion. By understanding these classifications, one can skillfully navigate the complexities of existence, aligning actions with the path to liberation. In the words of the Buddha, by oneself is evil done, by oneself is one defiled, by oneself is evil left undone, by oneself is one purified. Purity and impurity depend on oneself. No one can purify another. Dhammapada, verse 165. As we reflect on the four types of karma, a profound truth emerges. Our actions, rooted in intention, shape the tapestry of our existence. Whether immediately felt or rippling across lifetimes, karma reminds us that the seeds we plant today bear the fruits of tomorrow. It urges us to live with mindfulness, to act with kindness, and to meet each moment with wisdom. But beyond these intricate workings lies an even greater liberation, one that transcends the cycles of karma altogether. The Buddha's timeless wisdom invites us to see beyond cause and effect, to cultivate a stillness and insight that leads to nibbana, the unshakable freedom from suffering. As the Buddha teaches, mind is the forerunner of all actions. Speak or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow like a shadow that never leaves. Let this wisdom guide you not only to understand the law of karma, but to live in harmony with it, creating a life rich in peace, purpose, and profound awakening. Stay mindful, and thank you for journeying with us through this timeless wisdom. If you found value in this discussion and want to continue exploring the depth and wisdom of Buddhism, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Cultivating Buddhism, and share your thoughts in the comments. May the teachings of the Buddha bring you peace and guide you on your path to enlightenment.